previous video, I was saying how we possibly were at the final support for traditional and the crypto assets, and now do we possibly find the local bottom? And in this video, I'm gonna go over why I think so that is and my outlook for the week, right? So in the previous videos, um, in my last market watch video, final support here, go ahead and watch it. When I was talking about the volatility index, I was saying how either we are gonna, sorry, let me just, I was saying how we were either gonna go tap this first, go lower, but it's looked like we tapped this new high. We created a new high here. And we did get a full close indicating that it was a strong closure, but if you look at the weekly time frame, it was still just a rejection. It still moved down. It didn't close all the way. So we had a green violet vector. We are now closing on the 50. Like I said before, still same case. Close under the 50 EMA, then it will confirm this SFB to go higher. And this was an aggressive move up. So on NASDAQ, we had this huge drop. Took out these lows, recovered this vector, and even recovered this blue vector, about 50% of it. Yeah. And the reason why I'm thinking that this is possibly the local low to go higher, I'm not expecting us to blow up out of here, but at least for how the VIX and how everything is lining up and the strong move down, we're going to recover some of these candles. We are, before we decide to go lower or higher. But even with the VIX, we had a huge rejection. Let's see how we start closing in the next few days. The weekly time frame, we are exactly on the 50. We could close underneath the 50. It gives more weight that we're going to come recover this zone first before we go higher. And if we do that, then it gives more weight that we are likely to recover these vector candles, this vector candle up here, and possibly take the all-time high, make a new all-time high. Is it going to be a quick sweep, or is it going to be a break, retest, continuation? Hopefully that happens, but we have to wait till we see there. So overall, I am anticipating more upside for the short term, at least until we recover 25.7 to 26.1. But I am expecting longs for right now, but we can do something like this where we break down here, go higher, create a W formation. But we're gonna have to see once we get there. Right now it's Monday, the market just opened. Let's see how tonight closes and we will further analyze it. Right now we do have a textbook V-shaped reversal. We had these are the highs, closed above, so you guys can see. Closed above, retrace, and now we might do the continuation right now. Or we might consolidate, but this is just telling you we covered some of this vector. If this is a retrace and we start closing above this 25.2K, then it will confirm down the 4 hour at least, and likely for the rest of the week, we are in bullish order flow. So start adding on the pullbacks. We're going to come attack these higher levels. And we have an order block up here. I'll probably target here. If you are going to build long here, I'm not in the long in NASDAQ yet. I didn't catch the move. But right here would not be a bad area to take profit. Moving on to gold. Gold is fairly simple. We are holding up the 50 EMA. Likely we're going to come recover this vector. Maybe we consolidate here. Maybe we do something like this. Who knows? But for gold, we need the US to cut interest rates. Of course, there's geopolitical tensions that could keep driving it up because it's a safe haven. But overall, if you wanted to continue, maybe go to like 8K or higher, the US needs to cut interest rates right now. The problem is that it's looking like the economy is doing okay, but inflation is high. So they might hold interest rates, which if they hold interest rates, it'll be bad for gold, which that will give the more weight of the idea that we're going to consolidate here. We are going to recover this candle, but we're going to go down here lower. I don't know. I don't think so as of yet. I am anticipating that we're going to consolidate here. So for us to see for the news, we need to see that the US is going to cut. If they hold, then it's not going to be good, because as a person that, as a big money investor, which we are not at that level yet, holding, you buy gold with your dollars, correct? When you hold gold, you don't generate a yield. So the only way you make profit of buying gold is if you buy at a certain price and you sell at a certain price, right? With the dollar, you could actually get yield with the bonds or the 10-year, 5-year bonds. You could generate yield pretty much. So if they're going to hold interest rates higher, they're going to hold interest rates at these high premiums, then it doesn't make any sense for me as a gold investor. If I bought down here, if I made all this profit, it doesn't make any sense for me to stay in gold. That's why we start seeing consolidation once we started hearing that the new chairman that Trump appointed for the Federal Reserve was being hawkish, meaning he's being more on the holding interest rate side. That's why people start getting out, because it's like, well, now I could take profit on my gold trade and put it into the dollar, since it's going to have high interest rates for longer. Then I would generate a yield. It's a low risk investment, right? But if they cut interest rates, then that means they're not getting as much yield on the dollar. So that's why they get into gold, because there's no point me staying in my dollar. If it's going to get cut, get devalued, then that means I should rather just get into gold, because it's going to go up in value against the dollar. Hope that makes sense. So just focus if the interest rates are going to get cut, or if they're going to hold them, good. If not, then I don't expect gold to go like shit the bed or anything, but possibly we could recover more. We could recover this wick, maybe come back down to this whole zone right here. Where is my tool? Where are my tools? Okay, come back to the zone right here, which we did tap into, but we actually did it. Sorry. We could tap into the zone from pretty much 4K to possibly 3.8. Worst case scenario for me, that's what I'm looking at for gold. So for traditional assets, that's about it. And let's move on to crypto. For crypto, it's interesting. We had the weekly close. This candle was not looking, last time when I made the video, we were exploding out of here, right? This is why I recommend everybody to wait for the candle close, zoom out to the higher time frames. We had a huge wick, a huge rejection, swept so much liquidity, broke this trend line. Obviously, this is back here. So now, here's two things are going to happen. Either this is one giant consolidation range, or we're going to continue consolidating, which that is, in my opinion, best case scenario. Let's say this right here is now the new big consolidation. Either we are going to reject now and start going back to range low, right? That is best case scenario, because now that would validate our longer term bounce, relief rally in crypto. But overall, that's for the long term. For the short term, as in this week, I do expect a rally. When we zoom in, we had a huge rejection, so I do expect maybe like today, tomorrow, whatever, we recover some of this candle right here, and then continue lower to this order block, and then higher. Because at the end of the day, the order flow is still bullish. We are still going higher. So until we see a high time frame structure shift, like on the weekly or on the daily, then I would consider like, okay, we are gonna continue to range low. But base case scenario is that we reject out of here, and either we start consolidating in this range, or we start going down to range lows and recover this vector. But overall, I am expecting USDT to come down. If we could get under the 50% range of this two levels, good. Then we could easily go to the trend line, recover these vectors, and we have order blocks here. This is one big order block, but this right here is the last breaker block, the last buy to sell that broke everything higher. So if we are gonna retrace, I am expecting here to make the sorry guys, to make the higher low to go higher, either to go higher to break new highs and continue going higher, which that would be shit for sure. Cryptos are making new lows. This is not the local low. But if we could sustain this high, then right now currently once I start going to the other charts, this is the low for the local low for crypto, and we are gonna relieve and recover some of the vectors to the upside before going down, but that's not guaranteed yet. But we are for sure gonna go higher first before the come down. So now let's go into Bitcoin. And to put more weight about the rally, this is the liquidation heat map on the monthly. For Bitcoin, we have huge liquidations at 91K, and we have been just going down, down, down. Nothing goes down forever. Eventually, we have to get some of that money back, as in the short trader is going to take profit, and then they're going to want to hedge their shorts. So that this gives more weight for my USDT, as in we might come down first and then go higher, and this would be a nice target at 90K. I am anticipating that at least if we don't get to 90K, we're going to get to at least 85K for Bitcoin at least. Now let's see what the spot order book has been looking like. So since all-time highs, if you notice here, this is putting more weight to the idea of they have been buying now, and they have been selling more. So the downside has been exhausted pretty much, and you can see it from this chart, right? The green means they're buying, the red means they're selling, right? If you notice, since all-time highs, they have been aggressively selling, right? But as soon as the drop started happening, you see that they're buying. So they're actually buying on these dips, because if you look at this huge amount of buying was on this dip. This amount of buying was when it was going down. This huge buying was at this range. This huge buy, since we haven't had this large of a buy order since back in 2025 around November. Now we had this huge dump down, you see here, and a huge buyers stepping in. So now what we need to see is now this type of behavior happening, where now the buyers are going to start, the sellers are going to start aggressively selling. And you might be wondering, well, if they're selling, that means it should be going down. No, these are the people that have more money than you, and they don't buy when prices are going up. Only we do that. They buy when prices are going down. As you pay attention, even by this chart, all the big spikes you see are when prices are going down. You never see a big spike when we are all-time highs. Big money does not do that. And if you notice, all the big sells were at peaks. Look at this huge sell right here, right at the peak at 121. Shit. If you sold there, you're the best trader of all time. So, make a long story short, they have been bidding, they have been buying on the way down, not a lot of selling. These buyers are going to want to see a return on this eventually, putting more weight that based on how USDT looks structurally, based on the order book heat map and the spot delta order book right now, it's looking like they have sold too much and they're buying on the way down. Now it's looking like they have at least to see a return on those buys, so putting more weight that we are going long, right? So now let's go for Bitcoin. Let's see how this looks. This was the final support, right? We did close underneath, but here's why I am saying, like, hey, we had a bunch of zones of interest underneath, but I didn't put in my previous video to keep the chart clean. But we have this 8-month consolidation. I pulled a volume profile from here and marked out the value area high, low, and the PLC. And this is it right here. Of this whole range, this was the area high, PLC, area low. And we completely just broke through, swept the value area high, PLC, didn't touch the value area low, which is fine. But the part that is very, very strong, that gives this a huge line of support, is that we closed above all these levels. We didn't close underneath the value area high. Of course, I don't have it perfectly there, but even then when I match it perfectly to the value area high, we didn't close underneath. Huge wick. Of course, anticipate that we might fill some of this wick to go higher, but at the end of the day, my anticipation for cryptocurrencies, since it's a rally, that we are going to recover this vector candle at least on the weekly and head to this order block up here. This area right here, we for sure go into this area from 80K to 98K. 91K is right here. That big liquidation heat map, This is that not 91K that has the huge liquidations. And remember, they have been buying. This would be a good area for all those buyers to now offload and sell into all the people that are like, oh, we're so back, all-time high, and then continue lower. Once we get to the zone, then I'm going to reevaluate how structure's looking, the news, how the macros are looking. If you stay watching my videos, on my next long-term video, I am going to make a course on how to read the macros and how to understand it. Because at the end of the day, guys, technical analysis is good, but once you back the macros with the technical analysis, it makes it so much better and you make way more informed trades. And me personally, it might be a psychological thing. Having the macros backed to my technicals, I trust my technicals more, because I like to have a reason why something failed. I don't want to be like, oh, well, this is just one of those moments where my system just failed because it's just part of the percentage, which is true. You are going to lose and fail some of your trades, but having that macro in the background and knowing why you get in because of the macro sense, you might find patterns that you don't see because you're only focused on the technicals. Like maybe oh, this week we had news about inflation going higher, the job market going lower, or whatever it is, and therefore, and you start to notice that these certain trades that I take with these news coming out tends to fake me out or have this type of price behavior or whatever. You need to do everything. I don't really believe in the whole idea that you could just be only technicals only and not care about the news. Like at the end of the day, price is moved by behavior, perception of value. This is all fake money, guys. This is all fugazi internet money. And anyways, moving on. I also, with this logic, I got into a position. This is my current position right now. If you follow me on Twitter, right here, I posted it. I said going long on BTC for this week, 3 vector hits to the downside. Tapped into the order block, red vector, green candle formation, target the 50 EMA to value area high 85K. Let's see how this trade plays out. So when we zoom into the daily, this is going to be concepts that I'm going to teach later. But remember, these vector candles, they're showing you large tick volume, right? And the only people that could transact at this level are either huge money investors or market makers. So see these as like the clues where the market makers are transacting. So one of the concepts is that once you see huge big moves, the market maker hits it 3 times. For some reason, it moves in waves of 3. You can even see it here. It might be 3 or 4, but 1, 2, 3. We had one more, but we had a relief. 1, 2, 3. Now we might get that relief back into that 91K. It makes sense either to get back to 80 or to that 91K. And we are overextended to the downside. And we have all those macros and actual data on the order books to let us know that the sellers are exhausted and they've been buying a lot more than selling, right? Only people that are selling are retail investors and short-term holders, right? So let's see how price is developing. Obviously, I have only small position in. I don't go in all full force. We have a green vector. We can easily come back, recover some of this, and continue higher. Create a W formation, continue higher. So yeah, let's move on to Solana. Same thing. Solana had this is a huge line of support. Huge line of support. Strong close above. If we get above $100, we have a lot of recovery. So at the end of the day, you can get in a sold trade now. Stop loss underneath here. You could get in a trade here. Stop loss underneath these lows, because if we are anticipating a rally before a move down, if we get that move down, remember, I can't predict that far into the future. I could confidently predict maybe like a week worth of price action, but we could easily target this vector of recovery, a 34% move. Not bad. For Ethereum, I actually have a position in here. I didn't share it, but for this Ethereum trade, what I'm looking for is something very interesting. So this level right here, this was a low that we tapped and we closed underneath with a full body close red vector. So that looks bad, meaning we're going to continue lower. I was like, damn, but everything else looks bullish. Everything else has a wick, SFP. Ethereum doesn't. For me to confirm that this is actually SFP and this is just going to be one of those moments where prices just isn't behaving how it needs to be. And this is why you need to look at the whole market, because sometimes you will see this and you're like, oh no, it's a close. And if this becomes a good trade, that becomes a winner, then you miss that trade because you're like, oh, it's a full body close. My system tells me if it's a full body close, then we're going to continue lower, right? So this is a weekly time frame. Full body close doesn't look good, but I've noticed on the 5-day, which closes in 5 hours, and it's looking like we might achieve it, we had an SFP, a wick. Remember, an SFP does not get invalidated until you get a full body close. Even though we fucking went all the way the fuck down with a huge wick, if this closes in 5 hours above this level, it's still an SFP. We could easily target back to 26.92. My current position is right here. I got in a little bit lower, but once I see this closure to today after New York and when Asia opens, if we close above, I'm gonna start adding on the pullbacks to target at least first TP at 2.69 and final one at 35, 34. Do I think it's gonna get that high? I don't know, but I could confidently say that we're gonna tap 2.6K. And that's about it for this week, guys. So to make things, to wrap everything back up, to put everything together, pay attention on the news for gold and the traditional asset stocks, NASDAQ. If they are going to hold interest rates, it will be bad for gold, good for the dollar, and it's going to be bad for NASDAQ and the SFP because those are tech assets and tech doesn't do well on high interest rates. I'm not saying that it's going to go shit to bad, but be cautious on longs and focus more on the downside and your risk to the downside. And for crypto right now, for this week, it's looking good. We had a huge rejection on the weekly for USDT, and best case scenario is that we are going to start ranging. We're going to start trading towards range low. If we do, then if we start going underneath that level, that order block are marked for the higher low, if we close underneath there and we start trading towards the buyer area, the low of the range, sorry guys, very good for crypto. I could easily see us getting to the 100Ks on Bitcoin, to taking all-time high. I don't know, depends, but we do get underneath that order block and underneath that that zone of consolidation that we had before we had that big move up and that big rejection. If we could get underneath there, yeah, I could easily see us going above like 100K, 105 to 110. And that's about it this week. Pay attention. If the news says that, if the US government is making it seem like they're gonna strengthen the dollar, it's not gonna be good for crypto. So the news that you need to pay attention to on Forest Factory and stuff like that, or the interest rates policy, whatever you need to pay attention to, make sure that it's telling you that they are gonna cut interest. They don't wanna, if you see anything about they're gonna hold or they're gonna do something to strengthen the dollar, not saying crypto's gonna struggle, that's all I'm saying. But yeah, hope you enjoyed the video. Quick market watch for this week. Hopefully this is you know what, no hope, we don't do hope. Based off my analysis, what I just showed you, my logic didn't get into the fundamentals yet. Based off what I told you with my logic, I'm anticipating this week to be a good week for crypto. We're gonna get a bounce. Follow my socials, go to my YouTube and click my link over here. I have my link where you could follow my socials, my Instagram, my Twitter. I'm gonna start posting more and more and more. And when you go into my Discord, feel free, guys, please comment, start asking me anything. I'm gonna get invited to my own shit, but anyways, comment, ask me anything, any charts. I'm gonna start getting more active on posting there. The only reason why I'm not is because I don't have a lot of active users yet. But once I get those 100 people, a lot of active users on my Discord, then I'm gonna start doing USDT charts, doing daily updates like this every morning for market open, give you daily trades, right? Follow my Twitter if you want to see me post more about what I'm thinking overall. I have the cycle pattern. I had this, I posted a while back where how I was saying that Bitcoin's moving in a traditional cycle formation. And yeah, you can see here we have level 1, level 2 peak formation. Now we're breaking down. Now we confirmed level 1. If you've seen on my most recent update, how I talk about that, we actually confirmed level 1 right here. You see, breakdown. Now we're level 1. Now we are at level 2. Pretty much insinuating that we got at least one more down. A lot of times, there are times where we can reverse off level 2, but that is like not too often. It's like a 40-60% chance. But on the third drop, on level 3, it's like a 90% chance that we're gonna get a bounce. Maybe not a reversal, but at least a decent bounce. So hope you guys enjoyed. Keep following me, subscribe, like my videos, and do not comment down of other assets you want to see. And feel free to DM me, have any questions. I'm trying to serve you guys as much as I can and teach you what I know.